there's a simple piece of modeled state legislation which, if enacted, would for certain do three things, and probably more. It would help to solve your state penitentiary overcrowding problems. It would dramatically reduce the number of crime victims in your state, and without costing the state a dime, it would add significant revenue for you to use in your criminal justice system. Now, for you to see how that can be, it's going to be necessary that we review a little history. In the last 8 or 10 years, state legislators have passed a lot of get tough on crime bills, and they did this for all of the right reasons. And these get tough on crime bills would add length of time to sentences. They would impose mandatory sentencing guidelines. They would even create new classes of crimes that were not already on the books. And state prosecutors in the various counties, district attorneys and county attorneys, got excited about this and began to more aggressively prosecute cases. And all of this was a good thing on the front end, but an unsuspected result occurred. As a result of those good actions, today our state penitentiaries are filled to the brim and overflowing with inmates. It's one of the greatest crises confronting many state legislators today. The United States Justice Department, Federal Bureau of Justice Statistics, tracks state case felons and their cases. June the 27th, I believe it was, just last month, they came out with their last report, and they reported that over 2.25 million people are incarcerated in this country today. An increase of more than 3% over last year, and the largest single annual increase since the year 2000. California is an example of what happens. The California state penitentiaries are built to house 100,000 inmates. Today, as I speak, in the California state penitentiaries, there are 173,000 people. Federal judges are getting ready there to impose cap orders. These are orders from the federal court instructing the state as to how many prisoners it can house in its penitentiaries. Governor Schwarzenegger is doing everything he can to forestall those orders, but if and when they come, tens of thousands of state felons are going to be released early from the penitentiaries under no supervision. Now, that's California. If you're here today and you're not from California, you don't have as many people in your state as they do in California. And so consequently, your numbers may not be that big, but I would vouch to say that many in this audience today are experiencing some similar problem in their own state. The prison officials, therefore, are doing everything they know how to do. Incidentally, this begs an important question. Why not just build more prisons? Because you don't have the money. And so consequently, to relieve the overcrowding, prison officials are selecting inmates from their current population and letting them out the back door so they can make room for the newcomers who are waiting at the front door. Now, for sure, they are imposing conditions on these release persons. They're saying you can't go around the crack house, don't go about the victim, get into drug rehab, get a job, don't create a problem in the community by committing another offense. And if you do, we're going to send someone to get you, put you back in the penitentiary, and we're going to add time to your existing sentence. Now, it sounds good, and it would work great, except for one thing, and I'll talk about that one thing in just a minute. What happens is these releasees immediately, most of them, go back to their old play places, their old playthings, and their old playmates. And they end up doing the same things that got them into the penitentiary in the first place. Hence, a whole new class of new crime victims is being created. This should not be a surprise to us. It's been a long time since Sigmund Freud shared his theories of psychiatric approach to mental healing. One of the cornerstones of his teaching was a theory he called the psychosis of repetition. And here's what he said: we human beings tend to recreate in our immediate environment over and over and over again those things which are familiar to us. In the business that I'm in, we've known for a long, long time, people who go to jail hang out with people who go to jail. Well, so when these folks misbehave, what's the problem? We go get them, we bring them back, we reincarcerate them, we add time to their sentence, just like we said we would do, right? Wrong. Why in the world not? For the same reason we're not building new prisons. We don't have the resources to go find these people, to retrieve them, and surrender them back into custody. And that's what's missing. The sad irony here is, oh, and let me tell you incidentally, the word is out about that. Those persons being released know now that if they misbehave, nothing's going to happen. That if they violate the conditions of their early release, nobody's coming after them, and nobody's going to put them back in. The sad irony here, then, really is this. The state legislators who tried to serve their constituents so well by passing these tough crime bills have on the back end created the very thing they were trying to avoid. By getting tough on crime up front, they have created a whole new class of crime victim on the back. They are like people on fire, running into the ocean to put out the fire and drowning in the process. And the amazing thing is, they were so close. It almost works. There's just one missing little piece. The thing that was supposed to incentivize and motivate the releasee to behave himself or herself isn't there. The piece about we will come and get you and put you back into custody if you breach your release conditions is missing, and they know it. What if we could change that? What if we could suddenly flip a switch, so to speak, and they would know that if they violated, somebody was coming after them? And what if they knew that that somebody knew how to find them, and that that somebody would indeed retrieve them and surrender them back into the penitentiary? Would it work then? Absolutely. Would that automatically start reducing the number of crime victims? Absolutely. Would that help to solve the prison overcrowding problem? Absolutely. What about the money? I'll get to that in just a second.